It is National Electrical Code compliant to wire not a #10 solid wire with a #10 stranded wire. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines for safe and effective electrical installations. When connecting wires, the primary concern is to ensure a secure and reliable connection that minimizes the risk of loose connections, overheating, and potential fire hazards. Wire nuts, also known as wire connectors, are commonly used to join two or more wires together. They consist of a plastic or ceramic cap with a tapered internal thread that screws onto the exposed ends of the wires, twisting them together tightly. The NEC doesn't explicitly prohibit the use of wire nuts for connecting solid and stranded wires of the same gauge, such as #10 wire. However, it's crucial to follow best practices and manufacturer recommendations to ensure a safe and compliant connection. Firstly, always turn off the power to the circuit before working with electrical wires. This is a fundamental safety precaution to prevent electrical shock. Secondly, strip the insulation from the ends of the wires to be joined, exposing enough bare conductor to ensure a secure connection within the wire nut. The amount of insulation to strip is usually indicated in the wire nut packaging. Thirdly, when using wire nuts to join solid and stranded wires, it's generally recommended to pre-twist the wires together before applying the wire nut. This helps to ensure a more secure and reliable connection. Hold the wires parallel to each other with the stripped ends aligned. Then, using pliers or your fingers, twist the wires together in a clockwise direction, creating a tight spiral. Fourthly, once the wires are pre-twisted, push the twisted ends into the wire nut and twist the wire nut clockwise until it is firmly seated on the wires. The wire nut should grip the wires tightly, providing a secure mechanical connection. Fifthly, after installing the wire nut, give the wires a gentle tug to ensure they are securely held in place. If any wires come loose, remove the wire nut and retwist the wires more tightly, then reinstall the wire nut. Sixthly, always use wire nuts that are appropriately sized for the number and gauge of wires being joined. The wire nut packaging will indicate the range of wire sizes and the number of wires that the connector is designed to accommodate. Using an undersized wire nut can result in a loose connection, while using an oversized wire nut may not provide adequate clamping force. Seventhly, ensure that the wire nut is listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or all. This indicates that the wire nut has been tested and certified to meet applicable safety standards. Eighthly, the NEC Section 110.3 E requires that all equipment be installed and used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. This includes wire connectors. Always refer to the wire nut manufacturer's instructions for specific guidance on installation and usage. This information is usually found on the packaging or the manufacturer's website. Ninthly, in certain applications, it may be preferable to use other types of connectors instead of wire nuts. For example, terminal blocks or screw connectors may be more suitable for connecting wires in control panels or other equipment where frequent connections and disconnections are required. Tenthly, always inspect wire connections periodically to ensure they remain tight and secure. Over time, vibrations or thermal cycling can cause wire connections to loosen, increasing the risk of electrical problems. If you find any loose wire connections, tighten them immediately. 11thly, for specific applications, consider using dual-rated wire nuts. These are designed and rated for use with both copper and aluminum conductors. While this is more relevant when dealing with aluminum wiring, using dual-rated connectors adds an extra layer of compatibility, particularly in situations where future wiring changes might involve different conductor types. 12thly, when working with a large number of connections, consider using push-in connectors. These connectors offer a quick and reliable alternative to wire nuts. Push-in connectors are particularly useful in situations where space is limited or where a large number of connections need to be made quickly. 13thly, the NEC requires that all electrical work be performed in a neat and workmanlike manner. This includes ensuring that all wire connections are properly made and that the wiring is properly supported and protected. The NEC Section 300.4 addresses protection against physical damage, specifying requirements for protecting wiring from nails, screws, and other potential hazards. 14thly, in some jurisdictions, local electrical codes may have additional requirements or restrictions on the use of wire nuts. Always check with the local electrical inspector to ensure that your wiring practices comply with all applicable codes and regulations. 15thly, when making wire connections in damp or wet locations, use wire nuts that are specifically designed for wet locations. These wire nuts are filled with a sealant that prevents moisture from entering the connection, reducing the risk of corrosion and electrical problems. 16thly, it is important to maintain proper wire fill in electrical boxes. The NEC specifies the maximum number of wires that can be installed in an electrical box based on the size of the box and the gauge of the wires. Overfilling an electrical box can lead to overheating and other electrical problems. Refer to NEC section 314.16 for specific requirements on box fill calculations. 17thly, the NEC addresses the use of listed or labeled equipment in section 110.3. This section emphasizes the importance of using electrical equipment that has been tested and certified by a recognized testing laboratory. Look for the UL listing mark or other similar marks on wire nuts and other electrical components to ensure they meet applicable safety standards. 18thly, in some cases, it may be necessary to use splicing devices other than wire nuts. For example, when splicing large gauge wires or when making connections in high vibration environments, mechanical connectors or crimp connectors may be more appropriate. Consult with a qualified electrician to determine the best type of connector for your specific application. 19thly, the NEC requires that all electrical work be inspected by a qualified electrical inspector. This helps to ensure that the work is performed in accordance with the applicable codes and regulations and that the electrical system is safe and reliable. Schedule an inspection with the local electrical inspector after completing any electrical work. 20thly, it is essential to stay informed about changes to the NEC. The NEC is updated every 3 years, and each new edition may include revisions or additions that affect wiring practices. Subscribe to a reputable electrical trade publication or attend continuing education courses to stay up to date on the latest code requirements. 21st, consider the environment when making connections. For example, in corrosive environments, use connectors and wiring methods that are resistant to corrosion. This might involve using special coatings or enclosures to protect the wiring and connections from the elements. 22nd, if you are unsure about any aspect of electrical wiring, consult with a qualified electrician. The electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to err on the side of caution. A qualified electrician can provide expert guidance and ensure that your wiring is safe and compliant. 23rd, regularly inspect your electrical system for any signs of problems such as flickering lights, tripped circuit breakers, or unusual odors. These could be indications of loose wire connections or other electrical issues. Have any problems promptly investigated and repaired by a qualified electrician. 24th, the NEC provides specific requirements for grounding and bonding electrical systems. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for safety, as they help to protect against electrical shock and fire hazards. Ensure that all wiring is properly grounded and bonded in accordance with the NEC requirements. 25th, when working with stranded wire, it is important to properly prepare the wire ends before making connections. Stranded wire can fray or unravel if not properly handled, which can lead to loose connections. Use a wire stripper to cleanly strip the insulation from the wire, and then twist the strands together tightly to prevent them from fraying. 26. The NEC addresses the use of extension cords and flexible cords in section 400. This section specifies the types of cords that are permitted for various applications and the conditions under which they can be used. Avoid using extension cords as a substitute for permanent wiring, and never run extension cords through walls or ceilings. 27th. When making wire connections, it is important to avoid over-tightening the wire nuts. Over-tightening can damage the wires or the wire nut, leading to a loose connection. Tighten the wire nut until it is snug, but not excessively tight. 28th. The NEC requires that all electrical boxes be accessible. This means that they should not be covered up by walls, ceilings, or other obstructions. Accessible electrical boxes are necessary for inspection and maintenance purposes. 29th, the NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of recessed lighting fixtures. Recessed lighting fixtures can generate a lot of heat, so it is important to install them properly to prevent fire hazards. Follow the NEC requirements for clearances around recessed lighting fixtures and for the use of thermal protection. 30th, when working with electrical circuits, it is important to understand the difference between series and parallel circuits. In a series circuit, the components are connected end to end, so the current flows through each component in turn. In a parallel circuit, the components are connected side by side, so the current has multiple paths to flow through. The type of circuit can affect the voltage and current in the circuit, so it is important to understand the differences. 31st, consider using antioxidant compounds when connecting aluminum conductors. These compounds help prevent corrosion and improve the conductivity of the connection. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when using antioxidant compounds. 32nd, when replacing old wiring, inspect the existing wiring for any signs of damage or deterioration. If the wiring is brittle, cracked, or corroded, it should be replaced. It is also a good idea to upgrade the wiring to meet current code requirements. 33rd, consider using surge protection devices to protect your electrical equipment from voltage spikes. Surge protection devices can help prevent damage to sensitive electronic equipment caused by lightning strikes or other electrical disturbances. 34th, when working with high voltage circuits, it is important to take extra precautions to prevent electrical shock. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses, and use insulated tools. Never work alone on high voltage circuits. 35th, the NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of smoke detectors. Smoke detectors are essential for life safety, as they provide an early warning of fire. Follow the NEC requirements for the location and installation of smoke detectors to ensure they are effective. 36. Always keep a fire extinguisher readily available in case of an electrical fire. Use a Class C fire extinguisher, which is designed for use on electrical fires. Never use water on an electrical fire. 37th, when working with electrical panels, it is important to identify the circuit breakers correctly. Label each circuit breaker clearly so that you can easily identify the circuit it controls. This will make it easier to troubleshoot electrical problems and to turn off the power to specific circuits when necessary. 38th, consider using arc fault circuit interrupters, or size, to protect against arc faults. Arc faults are a common cause of electrical fires. A size can detect arc faults and trip the circuit breaker, preventing a fire from starting. 39th, the NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs. GFCIs are required in certain locations, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas, to protect against electrical shock. Follow the NEC requirements for the location and installation of GFCIs to ensure they are effective. 40th, remember that electrical codes are in place for safety. Adhering to these codes ensures the well-being of individuals and the protection of property by mitigating potential hazards associated with electrical systems.